The 1980 movie Caddyshack, while underappreciated in its time, is now considered a modern horror classic. Not only does it have clever references to past greats, but helped to influence the genre later on. Our choices for this top 10 list range from slightly strange to scream-in-your-seat terror. Will you be able to complete this list without having to stop the video? Let's find out.
Starting off our list is a scene in which two guys go outside to fight. The scene, which happens early in the movie, helps set the tone for later events. It foreshadows themes of domestic violence and perhaps even the paranormal. In fact, this scene is infamous for the accident that occurs on set, in which the actor below injured his back and became paralyzed from the waist up.
Coming in at number 9. In this scene, we see a golfer teeing up to hit a golf ball. At first, things seem to be normal. However, soon it becomes apparent that something's off. Notice the way the golfer's posture remains completely still as he falls to the ground. It was speculated that Chevy Chase was replaced with a cardboard cutout due to a falling out with director Harold Ramis. The effect is chilling, to say the least.
At number 8, we have what starts off as a fairly normal summer day at the pool. However, this soon turns into a vision of days long gone. What follows after a resting scene is a display of neo-pagan choreography, complete with strange symbols and complete subservience to the sun. Neo-pagan themes continue throughout the movie. For example, this scene shows a young virgin involved in the ecstatic worship of the moon.
Number 7 is a reference to the Roman Polanski classic, Rosemary's Baby. In this scene, we see a young woman who is pregnant. Judging from her reaction, however, this young woman knows something that Rosemary did not, that she's pregnant with the son of the devil.
Another homage to classic horror is our pick for number 6. This scene, in which an old man hacks open a door with his golf club, is eerily similar to the scene in which Jack Nicholson tears down the bathroom door at the Overlook Hotel. In this and the next scene, we can see how the characters are slowly falling prey to the malevolent influence of the golf course.
Number 5. In a later scene, we see how the golf course has finally driven the characters to madness and their inhibitions are destroyed, as murderous violence erupts between the members of the golf club. As a matter of fact, it is known that after the camera stopped filming, that Chevy Chase collapsed on set and was not able to be resuscitated. It can be assumed that all the characters died, as they do not reappear in the sequel to this movie, known colloquially as Caddyshack 2.
In number 4, a bizarre scene in which clouds darken in the sky foreshadows a particularly controversial and grisly scene. The paganism on display in the previous scenes comes to a head when violent and spectacular weather ravages the golf course. The focus is put on an old man who attempts to golf the perfect game. However, his pride comes before his fall, as a meteorological phenomenon afflicts him with an unknown malady. His body glows a strange color and slowly transforms into a corpse, or worse.
We've arrived at our top 3. Our number 3 choice starts with idyllic shots of the Caddyshack golf course, which are interrupted by strange movements in the earth, reminiscent of the man-eating worms from Frank Herbert's Dune. It is never revealed what causes these aberrations, but the imagination can lead us to picture a great abomination. The scene later went on to influence the movie Tremors, continuing a long lineage of strange, subterranean beasts. Number 2. If the ghastly beasts weren't scary enough, the following scene is one of the most abhorrent and terrifying scenes of the 1980s. In this scene, a man is literally plunged into the water. The imminent fatality is captured in slow motion, where every micro-emotion and tensing of human flesh is put on grotesque display. The man covers his skull with his hand in a futile attempt to prevent the complete destruction of his mortal being, and he arches his back in anticipation of the excruciating pain that awaits him. Instantly disappears upon impact with the pool, where his assailants cheer and gnash their teeth at the state of his non-being.
Before we get to number 1, we have a few honorable mentions that we found particularly unnerving. In our first honorable mention, we see an Easter egg for longtime horror fans who might recognize the names of 2 acclaimed horror masters on the screen. We won't spoil it for you, but those in the know will be surprised and delighted to catch the reference.
Next is a rather cruel example of mortality, in which a platform of revelers is demolished by an out-of-control yacht, driven by a murderer bent on Circassian genocide. Last honorable mention is a subtle aberration, but repeated listenings will show the eerie ambiguity of the child's speech. What is she saying exactly? Duty or daddy? While it isn't exactly clear which word it is, one can posit that this is surely the work of a psyop.
We've arrived at our pick for the scariest scene in Caddyshack. In this final climax, we see the culmination of all human rage as some hideous and evil spirit suddenly possesses a chef to wield his knife in a display of utter violence and disregard for human dignity. This scene is a callback to every instance of murder in human history. It is only due to the heroic effort of his fellow chefs that the man is restrained and prevented from what could have been the deadliest knife frenzy in U.S. history. The horror of this scene is underscored by the complete ignorance of the diners just in the other room. Notice how the chef on the left embraces the would-be killer as if he were a baby embracing its mother. This demonstrates that, despite his attempts to quell the rampage, he is also drawn to the correlation between sexual intercourse and death by stabbing with a sharp instrument. In a way, the knife also represents a phallic symbol, which demonstrates the chef's desire to impose his will upon his customers. His food thereby represents his semen.
So what did you think? Did these scenes scare you, or were you disappointed? Let us know in the comments. And as always, thanks for joining us.